What's going on, guys? In the works, and I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of jumping off the buildings in Battlefield 4. The new element of awesomeness that they've added to the parachutes just make it a lot of fun, and I love jumping off, killing people, C4 in tanks. It's almost like you're like a superhero now because you're actually doing the action of pulling the parachute. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite weapons in Battlefield 3 and a weapon that has returned here in Battlefield 4, the ACW-R, which is a carbine/carbine, depending on what school of thought on the pronunciation you're in. But it is an all-purpose kit weapon. You can use it on anything, which makes it pretty versatile. But you may notice that Battlelog actually has the stats on there for this weapon. Well, I can tell you what, do not trust the stats that they have on Battlelog. Typically, those little bars, those little sliders that show how much mobility, how much damage, stuff like that, they don't really mean a whole lot. So what is the damage model actually like on this ACW-R? Well, it's nothing like it was in Battlefield 3. If you played with it in Battlefield 3, you'll know that it was a longer range weapon. It was a weapon that didn't do a lot of initial damage, but it held its damage much longer, making it better at long range for the engineer class. Well, this is completely different. Being an all-purpose kit, this is more in line with how the engineer weapons behaved in Battlefield 3. It's kind of like the M4 damage model. It starts off with a 25 damage, drops off to a 15.5. Now, is that going to stay like that in the actual build of the game? I don't know. Betas typically change. I mean, if you played the Battlefield 3 beta, a lot of weapons got nerfs, a lot of weapons got, different buffs and stuff like that. But you may notice from this clip right here, it's actually pretty good at long range. Even though it doesn't do the same damage that it used to back in the day, at about 70 meters, I think is where it's at its minimum. So it does take a little bit to get to that point where it's dropped off to the 15.5. But the great thing about this is the recoil on this thing is very, very controllable. Combo that with the fact that it does have a pretty high fire rate, around 850. I have heard that the in-game stats say it's slightly higher at around 880 or slightly below that, which I have not confirmed that. But I would believe it because Battlefield typically does sometimes add, weird fire rates like that in the game. But what makes the ACW-R worth using? Well, it's a good weapon up close because it does have a high fire rate. I like to run it with this laser sight you see me using here with just a red dot sight. Because you saw me in the first half of the video, I was using the iron sights. The iron sights aren't that great. They're very similar to the iron sights that were on the Battlefield 3 version. They're kind of obstructive. They're not really advantageous in any way. So as soon as you unlock the red dot sight, I would suggest putting that on there, the reflex, whatever you want to call it. And I like to run it with the laser sight, and you can toggle on and off with the laser sight. We all know that. So if you ever get into engagement at longer ranges where you don't want someone to know that you're aiming at them or where you're aiming from, it's very smart to turn that off. But it's nice to have on there up close because you will win a lot of gunfights. The Hipfire on this is pretty decent, I guess. I've never really had a problem with it. It's funny because if you actually toggle your laser sight on and off, you can actually see, your crosshairs getting larger and smaller and stuff like that. So I like it with laser sight. I think that it's a very good complement to the way the weapon behaves because it's not like it used to be. It's not like the weapon where it was better at medium and longer ranges just because it held its damage. But it definitely seems to be a little bit more versatile in Battlefield 4 than it was in Battlefield 3. And being an ACW-R aficionado, I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't feel like it has the characteristics, the uniqueness that it had in Battlefield 3. But that may be okay because this is probably my favorite weapon in the beta right now. This is a lot of fun. If I was going to suggest a weapon for you guys to use, I really like this one. I think it's a blast to use. I like the high fire rate. I like the controllability of it. It seems very similar to the Battlefield 3 version. It's very easy to control the recoil, a very soft recoil. And like I said, it's a versatile weapon. Now, how does this stack up to the other carbine in the game, which is the AK-5? I prefer the ACW-R by a landslide. I don't really want to go into like a showdown situation because we're waiting to do those in the actual game because like I said, they do change a lot of stats. There's no point in comparing weapons in the actual beta. But I think if you're looking to be successful in the beta, the ACW-R offers you a very unique choice because you can use it on any kit. If you want to play recon and level up your recon class, you can have an awesome weapon like this. If you want to level up your support class, you've got an awesome weapon like this. So it's really up to you. I like that you can put this on any kit. I think that's a game changer right there. I think it's interesting to see how that actually works out because I love playing the support because I like the XM25. Grenade launcher. It's a lot of fun to use. It kind of gives you support against those snipers that are camping on rooftops because you can lock onto the edges and the air burst will actually explode right in front of them. typically it'll blow their brains out. So let me know what you guys think about the ACW-R so far. Have you had the chance to unlock it? I think you need to unlock the carbines, and then once you get 6,000 within that, you unlock the ACW-R. So it's not too tricky to use, it just takes a little bit of grinding. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and if you missed any of my past videos, here's a chance to catch up. I actually did a complete engineer breakdown on my thoughts on the engineer kit in Battlefield 4's beta, and I also did a first look video, so if you've missed any of those, go back and check them out, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.